Yeah,
Just
well,
like,
and Jimmy's running the 500 this
who are we?
weekend. Oh yeah, I did that on
Yeah.
purpose. Yeah. What's up,
Well,
everybody? We're just having a little racing conversation here.
conversation.
Chris, it's
Hey, you'll catch your notes and
Friday.
everything.
I
Yeah, you
know.
said it's qualifying Friday for trucks, Jay.
It's
I
qualifying Friday. Yeah, I just turned it
I'm a
on.
little bit
Yeah.
embarrassed. A little bit embarrassed that I didn't realize they qualified and raced on the same day, but
Yeah.
good on them.
Yeah.
Good on them. That should be exciting. I'm
For
sure we will
sure.
talk more about that at the end of the show.
We
But
will.
welcome everyone to the e-commerce hour from On the Rocks, the show where we talk about e-commerce and e-commerce adjacent information, specifically as it relates to technology and tips to run your e-commerce business. I am Chris Gino. He is Jay Kimmelman, and we are the host of your show. Last week, we talked about the boring update from Shopify. We talked through a variety of their new features and changes that you'll see when you're using the platform, though most are behind the scenes and in the background, which is why it was called the boring update. This week, we're targeting another specific issue: loyalty programs. If you're not aware, right, average order value is kind of like a lifeline for your business. We're all looking to get it up and make it more and make it higher and everything else. And loyalty programs can be one of the best options to help you do that. So today, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the pros of loyalty plans. We're going to talk about the mistakes that you can run into in trying to manage these plans. And we'll highlight a few tools that exist in the marketplace that can help you, you and your program be some of the best ones out there. But before we do that, we like to get to the news.
And there's
So,
a
Jay,
ton
in
of it
tech
this
news,
week.
it's like people were like waiting around or something
Yeah.
for
What's
this
up with that?
administration change, and then we're like, let's knock all this stuff out now. Or maybe it was January or something, and they're like, well, okay, now we're back from break. Now we're back from
Right.
holiday break, and it's been a month or whatever. We're almost halfway through Q1. Maybe we should do something. But they've gotten on the ball, including Measure Up. Measure Up is launching a new e-commerce platform for B2B business, and they're coupling up with their own Learning Locker initiative. This is an AI program that's supposed to create professionalized certification. Like it's a platform to do all of that, which is supposed to help people align their own career path with career goals, which is an interesting thing to think about as far as like e-commerce goes. Like you do want to make sure that your team is getting certified. Like I don't know exactly how this Measure Up idea and the Learning Locker couple up with their e-commerce platform. And those seem like very disaggregated things. So I did think it was interesting that like number one, they're bringing on this new platform. I think anytime that happens, this is good, right? But then I hadn't seen much about this the idea of certifications and the AI generation of that. And Jay, I don't know like how much that matters to e-commerce businesses, but do you think there's a use case there, or is this just a piece of news?
I think there's always room for certifications in any app you're using in any industry. It
Yeah,
allows you to show your expertise, and
right,
anything that allows you to showcase your expertise and allow you to get farther in your career, all for it.
right, right. Big fan of that as well. So glad in anything that makes it easier as well, right? Like
For
it's
sure.
super like those are great things. That's part of the reason why I love Earmark for accountants. It just makes everything easier. So I'm hoping MeasureUp's platform does that too for whatever certification they're laying out there. Um, Making things easier is what a lot of the marketplace platforms have been trying to do. Meta is testing an Advantage Plus campaign where you can apply all of these AI tools that we've been talking about over the past year or whatever it is, and help them to help you generate quality leads. Jay, have you heard at all of Advantage Plus as a campaign tool in Meta?
I had not heard of it until I read the article you sent me about an hour ago.
Yeah, no, me neither. To like the half hour before I sent it to
Right?
you when I read that
Yeah.
article myself. But it sounds like a really cool tool, right? And we've talked about this a whole bunch on this show about how all the big players in this space, as they continue to develop AI tools, to integrate AI tools, like these are really, really positive things in the marketplace as they're allowing you as a business owner to get your time back. Now, I don't know if at Advantage Plus and the campaigns that go along with that are 4 times the cost as like their regular campaigns. I mean, you got to fund the AI somehow, I guess. But it's good to know, I think, and important to know that it's out there, and is something that it's in a testing phase, I think. So they may only be available to certain people, but it's coming. If they're testing it, they're going to roll it out, because that sounds like a thing that'll be really positive for them.
And if they're testing it, odds are 3 other companies are testing it at the same time or will
That's
shortly thereafter.
no question. If the recent news is any indicator of that, that's definitely true. Um, I thought that this combination of companies, so Rampack and Rybot, 2 companies that I never heard of either, Jay, they're expanding into this AI-powered packaging solution, or packing solution. So they're working together to make packing and warehouse management easier, through AI tools. So again, we've talked a little bit about other tools like this as well. But anytime that you start to see the AI tools impact and streamline the actual process, like, I think that that's a really powerful use case for AI, and one that I think is always worth highlighting, um, because when you start to decrease all that lag time that you'd have between the time when somebody makes an order and the time that you're able to deliver it, like, you're reducing your sales cycle, you're reducing just everything along the way, right? And this
For
becomes
sure.
extremely important in e-commerce, especially as margins starting to tighten up and all of that kind of stuff. If you can flip your capital faster, this is a very, very positive thing. And so tools like this, I'm sure, are going to be really popular going forward,
So
as they continue to make that process
let me ask
faster.
you a question on this. Is this a packaging solution where it's putting the items in the box and putting the packaging in it, sealing it and shipping it? Or is it's going to the shelf, grabbing the items and then putting it in the package?
So I don't know exactly what they've developed. I think it's the first one, or the
Okay.
second. I think it's the second one, because
Okay.
I think it's associated with, like, visualizing warehouses, kind of like
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
talked about, like uh, like the Amazon vans and all of that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
What I was reading is it's about that visualization of what a warehouse space looks like and how you can manage the area around that faster. But it's also, I think, also a, like, how do you speed up the other part of the process as well. So I think it's intended to be at least a multifaceted solution that way. Um, so because I think one product does one thing and one product does the other, and they're coming
Right.
together.
Right, right, right. It sounds a lot like a process that one of my former employers implemented. So
Yeah.
they had a horizontal warehouse, they built a
Mm-hmm.
vertical warehouse, and had an
Mm.
automatic. Basically, you drop a pallet at a loading area, it gets scanned.
Uh-huh.
The pallet, there's an elevator, so to speak, that took that up, raised it to a
Uh-huh.
specific floor bin, etc. Put the pallet on the
Yeah.
rack. It was an
Oh yeah.
11
Okay.
floor warehouse that did this.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so when the orders came in for the product, it knew where they were, and basically everything was assigned
Yeah.
by lot number and batch and everything. And it
Yeah.
actually pulled it down, and was coming down, and they were being lined up to go into trucks. And it was
Yeah. It's
amazing
amazing.
to watch that work. That was 10
Yeah.
years ago,
And so Right. And so imagine how much better it is now. It
for
was amazing
sure.
back then.
Yeah,
And definitely with AI solutions like this that can even automate that process, maybe put the more higher volume things in the lower shelves and all of the stuff that would go along with that, right? Like, that extra level of optimization um, can go a long way.
yeah, for
The
sure.
small things add up.
Yeah.
Um, the last AI thing that I saw this week, Market Leap got an $8 million funding opportunity. They are a platform that manages marketplace operations and back end logistics via AI support, and they're planning to enhance their AI-driven automation and analytics with this new funding. But anytime that you have these types of companies that are looking to manage your marketplace operations, what the article talked about was that this is across a variety of different platforms. And so they're looking to streamline how all of those different marketplaces are managed and how orders come in from different places and are still logistically sent out, right? And so again, I think this goes to the same topic that we just talked about of when you can optimize that process, you're decreasing that cash cycle, which just makes everything so much more powerful for you. So cool tool. Interested to see again how that impacts how businesses are operating. I love the idea of these tools that can really help you across multi-channel, and streamline your operations to not make it so you're like on Amazon and also on Shopify, but you are a one vendor that's on both places and they're managing it all together as one big unit. Like that a lot better for sure. Market Leap wasn't the only people that got funding, but the other company that wasn't specifically associated with AI funding, Sugar.io, they got $15 million to improve their platform for multi-market selling as well. And so we got a lot of funding into this multi-market space this past week at least. So again, I think anytime that this type of investment happens, that's a good thing, and that it's happening in multiple spots at the same time. This is just an indicator that there's an opportunity for improvement here, and somebody's going to come up with something good. And then the final piece of tech news this week, Jay, Wayfair, who when I think about e-commerce that's not Amazon, Wayfair is kind of like who I think of, which is maybe kind of silly, but they added a Pinterest-like AI design website to stoke in real life purchases. They called it Muse, and it seems like an encapsulation of kind of a lot of things that we've already talked about. So Wayfair, I think in this case, is catching up with Amazon's like Christmas design. So we talked about at Christmas time that you could walk into like the Amazon place and look at all the different retail shopping things right there in one spot. This is trying to do that as well, but with the Pinterest style of like, look at this room, and here you can click on this thing and find that thing, and then purchase them directly. So I love the idea of this technology, and it will be the type of thing that I think that we continue to see a lot more of as we, especially as we get to AR integrations and the continued use of generative AI in this space like that, where you can really see stuff. So this hyper personalization is going to mean things like this are happening a whole lot more frequently.
Yeah, I was going to say that just adds to the trend that we were talking about the beginning of the year of AR/VR in the e-commerce sales cycle. So
yeah, well, and this one's not AR based either. So it's like click through, but it's generative AI. So it's supposed to like take it and put it kind of right there in a room for you, that kind of thing. So it is that same hyper personalization of ad stuff, which is really cool. And Jay, that was the tech news this week. In more basic e-commerce news in our recurring segment, we'll go through it quickly. Retail is dying, but e-commerce is more alive than ever. Joann is closing 500 stores, so you can get your fabrics online. Wesco, which is a big supply and logistics entity, they are focusing on a digital transformation because their sales were flat. Retail job cuts are rising by 20% in January versus last January. So again, that's mostly due to store closures, and so as that contraction continues to happen, the spending GDP isn't contracting by 20%. So people are still using those spaces. And in fact, it's gotten so bad, Jay, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this because I think this is a really interesting opportunity. But it's gotten so bad that people are taking advantage. Like who could have imagined? But these companies like Walmart are taking advantage of how local little like B mall sales have just plummeted so bad that no one goes there, and they're like popping up in these places because the retail is undervalued now, and they're taking advantage or attempting to take advantage by finding some like less expensive but still like primely placed retail space, the old location thing.
Most definitely.
And so I thought that was a really interesting thing, and especially for if you're a brand that has some interest in having a storefront, like doing something like this is probably a really inexpensive way, comparably, to do something like that, using one of these little not all that traveled B markets, right? Like B mall markets where maybe you don't have to spend as much for some space, but you can now have a physical store people can come touch your stuff in. I don't know that that's all that valuable to e-commerce providers, but I did think it was an interesting like development in retail more broadly.
Yeah,
What do you think, Jay?
I think we're going to see more and more of that. I mean, right here,
Yeah.
so 5 miles from here, the Joanne store is closing. Um,
Mm,
20 miles away, we had a mall that was built 30 years ago. It was like the
sure.
top place to go. It shut down the end of January. So
Oh wow,
down
yeah,
here, everything is more outdoor type malls, but we're seeing a lot of
sure,
vacancies there because these stores are closing. So
right.
as the occupancy is falling, costs are going up
Hmm.
because the landlords or the lessors want to make sure they are getting their full nut. The cam fees
Right.
are rising all the time. So, it's making it much more difficult. So it's like, do we just fill these locations? And, it
Yeah.
might be the answer. Just, let's change the way we're doing retail and fill them. But,
Yeah.
it's one of those
Or
things that,
bulldoze them and make them a suburb.
or, well, that's one thing we don't need here is any more homes. But yeah, for sure. We could use some parking lots.
There you go. Maybe that's it. Just
Maybe
take
some
the
more
whole mall, turn it
highway.
into parking lot for
Yeah,
everything
a little more highway
else.
here.
Nice. Yeah, that's funny. So again, there's just these stories. They're going to continue to come up. I'm going to try to bang through them really quickly, and if there's something interesting, we can talk about them going forward. But it's still happening. Jay, had you ever used the UPS Click and Ship app? Yeah, me neither.
Never.
But if you do, and if you're out there and you have used it, USPS is shutting it down. So Click and Ship, that Click and Ship app, going away. So if you do use that, know that you're not going to be able to for that long because it's going away. Jay, it seems like we've got like a BOI issue here where tariffs are on again and off again and on again and off again and on again.
Mm-hmm.
And this week we've got some on agains. The president has identified or announced or executive ordered or whatever it is that you do when you announce tariffs,
Mm-hmm.
some reciprocal tariffs across a variety of different areas. So just again, like we mentioned, we talked about this I think last week as a possibility, but know that like they're happening and you need to be prepared for it. And then of course, Jay, you've built a model for this, right?
I have the landed
Yeah.
cost
So
calculator. Take those tariffs into
yeah,
account. Make sure you are
that's
properly pricing your products to maintain your margins. Or
properly pricing your products. Love it.
yes,
Alliterative success right there.
yes.
Put it in the TikToks. Properly price your products by using the landed cost calculator so you can deal with reciprocal tariffs. But anyway, no, again, those are important things to be aware of, right? If this is more broad than the 25% and 10% thing, right? This is across a lot of different nations of import.
It's
So
basically
know
any
that
nation that has a tariff against the U.S.
tariff,
now has a tariff against
yeah,
them.
tariff again,
And
right,
steel and aluminum, no matter where it's coming from, now has a tariff on it. So,
right. So
including Canada and
if
Mexico.
you right. So if you're importing any of those types of things, like understand what the rules are and understand what you're facing here because it is going to impact your business and you want to respond and act accordingly. Um, Jay, I know that you've spent a lot of time on TikTok over the past couple weeks. Have you
I
noticed
have.
in TikTok Shop there's been a subscription model added?
I have not
You
noticed
you've
that.
noticed it?
I have not
They're
noticed,
testing
nor
it, so
have
it
I
might not be for
purchased
everybody.
anything. So,
Yeah, so that's probably why.
yeah,
Um, and so they're testing this subscription model,
yeah,
which as we
makes
talk
sense.
about average order value and like lifetime stuff, right? This is a really important thing to think of, right? So if you have a product that is a recurring use subscription style product, this is a thing to definitely be aware of and make sure that if you have users on TikTok, that's where your customers are, and your subscription model, know that that's a thing that's coming soon. Um,
Side note
uh,
there, Chris. The TikTok
yeah.
apps are back on the app stores. So you can now
Oh.
download TikTok and update TikTok. And I believe CapCut as well. Because
Oh.
I know I was with somebody last week. They were trying to download CapCut. Not there, but I think it's
Yeah.
back. And what's today? Today's the 14th. We're
Yeah, 45 days.
Yeah, them days are counting
Or I
down.
think right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
they're getting
little more
close.
than that. It's more like
75 days? Did I do it in 90
70
days?
days. Yeah,
Yeah,
say
something like
70
that.
days.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. 2 more months until they shut it all down again. Um, we'll we'll see how that goes. This is kind of a technology thing, but I didn't really think of it as technology because it's a platform for small businesses to do their returns all in one place with a bunch of different return related features, like store credits and exchanges and everything like that. Return Pro is offering this new product. So if you have a problem with returns and it's not something that you like to manage, Return Pro is a potential solution for you. Um, One partnership that I had never really thought about as a partnership, 1-800-Flowers added Uber Direct for delivery help on today, Valentine's Day, Jay. Oh. Um, so, so 1-800-Flowers is using Uber Direct to help deliver flowers. And I thought that this was like a really ingenious thing. And it made me think a little bit more um, about random partnerships like this. And how e-commerce businesses could do something similar. Like you never really know exactly who your business partners are going to be until you get into a certain situation.
Mm-hmm.
But be thinking outside of the box because something like this can be really powerful for you if it's something that you can leverage. So good job by you, 1-800-Flowers, for trying something new. Um, and then relevant to today, Dick's Sporting Goods opened an influencer program to the public. So we'll talk more about loyalty programs, obviously, in a few minutes here. But Dick's influencer program, which I'm sure has a lot of things to do with loyalty, is now open to the public. So interesting thing there. And then finally, as we do every week, we will wrap up the news with Amazon news because they're always here. And we don't have Amazon news. I'm going to do Amazon's doing 2 things this week, or did 2 things this week of note, or at least as far as I found. The first one is that they've changed a policy a little bit to automatically update the handling capacity based on your recent performance. So this is for out of stocks and whether or not you can fulfill orders on time. So that used to be something that I think was a little bit more like you had to actively do some things, but now they're just automatically doing that for you. And then they are also doing a testing thing. And Jay, this is like, I couldn't believe this when I read this. And I saw, I think, 3 separate articles about it. So it's a big deal, I think, even though it doesn't really seem like it. But they were testing offering product offerings from off of Amazon. And so Amazon would direct you directly to your own store, which is a super interesting feature. And particularly from my perspective, Jay, of like, what is Amazon doing? Why are they doing that? Like, are they getting a cut of this link? I'm sure they are.
They're getting into the referral business. I mean,
Yeah, crazy.
Odds are you're probably fulfilling with Amazon, which is why they're doing that. Yeah, I'd love to see the terms of service there. See exactly what's going on there. But they're going to make a little bit off the front end, a little bit off the back end, and maybe not charge you as much.
Yeah.
Maybe this is their way of cutting fees. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a thing for those Amazon sellers, right? Like this is an opportunity for a different connection point and to maybe make it a little easier. Or I don't know that it would be ones that are fulfilled by Amazon, but it could be, right? Like this seems like a thing that would be fulfilled outside of Amazon because you're directing them off of Amazon, but I don't know. But it was super interesting to see because that was a sentence I never really thought about ever reading. Yeah. Amazon directs you somewhere else. But I guess they've done everything on their own site now, and they're like, well, now we have to get out of our own site and still get money. So let's do that. But I think that if I think about that a lot because if I'm looking for something, one of the first places that I go is Amazon. And so if Amazon is now directing me, or even in ads, is the way that this article read too, is like in comparables and whatnot, like it could be down there where you're directed off site. Like I was like, man, that's a really interesting play. So I know that they're just testing this, but I do think it will be interesting to see how that morphs and changes. And I'd love to at some point, I think, see some conversation on the whys from the Amazon side, because that is really, really unusual. But super cool though. And Jay,
Yeah.
that was the news. Before we get on today, while my moist January is finished, I'm still playing around with the non-alcoholics, and so today I have a Best Day Brewing hazy IPA, and since I'm almost done with that one, the West Coast IPA comes next. And those two guys are Best Day is out of Northern California, and it is also a non-alcoholic. So I've been surprised by how much I've enjoyed those, like I mentioned last week. So even though I am done with the dryish January, I'm still going with a non-alcoholic beer. And then Jay, I saw yours isn't it's not water today.
Cheers. No, not water today. I, this kind of fits in with our topic today of loyalty.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
NASCAR
okay.
fans are some of the most loyal customers and fans there are. And
That's so true.
my one of my favorite drivers, who's now retired and a car owner, has his first ever car in the Daytona 500. It is Dale Earnhardt Jr. of JR Motorsports or Junior Motorsports, and his car is sponsored by Traveler Whiskey, which is a Chris Stapleton brand from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. So I
Oh,
got this earlier in the week with the anticipation of opening it last night. Got home last
yeah.
night. Wife was in front of the TV. Ended up watching with her, so I didn't crack into it last night. As I told you this morning, Chris, I woke up early this morning to watch the races from last night.
To crack it open.
I didn't. I didn't think it was responsible to crack it open at 5:30 this morning. So
Probably not.
partaking now, and my fear was they were not going to make the Daytona 500, and I wouldn't get a chance to toast the car on track. But yeah, they did a great job last night. Justin Allgaier, the elder statesman of the drivers at Junior Motorsports and the last year's Xfinity Series champion, it raced into the Daytona 500, and it is a pretty car. The number 40 Traveler Whiskey Chevrolet. So looking forward
Be
to
on the
that.
lookout for that
And
one.
while we're talking that, as we were coming on earlier, we were talking a little NASCAR. Well, in
Yeah.
typical Florida fashion, we have rain scheduled for Sunday. So in an effort to get the race in, they've pushed that start time up to 1:30. So cheers. Extra time to
Oh,
drink.
yeah. Yeah. That's a perfect time to drink.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Jay, you have put together this summary, and it includes some facts that I didn't know. Did you know, before you put this together, Jay, that loyalty program members spend 12 to 18% more per year than non-members?
Mm-hmm.
You did know that. How did you know that?
I didn't exactly know those numbers, but
Uh,
and so I am part of loyalty programs that are not necessarily
uh,
on NASCAR. I mean, not NASCAR related, but e-commerce related. And
uh,
it's like I have a Delta Sky Miles account and a Delta MX card.
yeah,
I
that's
have
true.
an American Airlines account and an American credit card. They both have programs for spending. So first
Yeah.
thing I do, I got into the American one because I was doing a travel challenge. I had to get so many points and miles within a specific amount
Yeah.
of time to maintain status. So
Mhm.
I was looking for every advantage, and every purchase I made, I clicked through that system to
Oh, yeah.
see how
Okay.
many points I could get. And
Right.
I mean, anything from gift cards to computers to my Walmart purchases, my Lowe's purchases. I did it all online and through that platform. And,
Yeah.
sometimes you got 10 times the points, sometimes 4 times the points.
Sure.
They're not brand specific, but they were doing it right. And we're going to get into some of that right now. So,
Right.
I
Yeah.
do that. My daughter loves Chick-fil-A. We are part of the Chick-fil-A program. Because why? Because she can get free food while she's at college. So
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
A fantastic thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why loyalty programs matter to any business. So e-commerce stores, it's the same thing, right? If you're incentivizing people to make that comeback purchase, or providing an offer that allows for an extra purchase after the fact, right? Those things can be really valuable to you in your store. Um, and that's why programs of that nature matter. Now, of course, that's why they matter, but how can they be effective, right? So one of the most important things about a loyalty program is kind of the things that we just talked about, right? There is some psychology to customer loyalty and repeat purchasing. When you have had a good experience, you keep going back. When you have a poor experience, you don't keep going back. and and so that loyalty is what is important in driving those return and repeat purchases. The things that help you to create and increase your long-term customer value. Um, so so Jay, when you think about a loyalty program, some of the key elements are things that you've already highlighted
Yeah.
through what you've already talked about, right? So this is, you have points-based rewards, right? If you start to accumulate, you now have you get a free prize, a chicken sandwich, or a baggage upgrade, or whatever it might be, right? Or
Yep.
an extra little pack of extra little over here. God, man, the being backwards is the worst. An extra little pack of those guys.
Super
Good
Trilly.
heavens. Yeah, super trellis. Yeah, extra little pack of super trellis guys. Right? There are incentives. There's referral incentives. So it's things like if you bring along a friend, you get a 20% discount on your next purchase. Right? This one Viore loves to give me this option. Right? As hey, if you want to send somebody to the website for the first time, we'll give you a discount too. Then of course there's the NJ. You're aware of this because of your travel challenges, right? Because of at certain levels, if certain purchase amounts, you end up in these VIP sections, right? These
Yep.
VIP tiers. You have specific benefits and exclusivity because of this, like your fancy status, right?
And as probably the case, you probably get more points as well when you're in a higher tiered status as well. It's just
Yeah,
like
right.
being in an airline program. If you are
Yeah,
a gold member, you get 10% more points. Bronze, platinum, whatever. As
yeah,
platinum, you get 35 more percent more points than you normally would. So it's
right,
all about
sure,
gamifying it, putting in that gaming effect to help you increase it.
right.
Going back to Chick-fil-A, my daughter wants to get into the highest level she can so she can get the most points she can because she loves her Chick-fil-A and she doesn't want to pay for it all the time.
Of
She wants
course.
those freebies.
Of course,
Yeah,
right. But those types of things also help to keep her engaged,
most definitely.
which is another important
Yep.
factor of a loyalty program too. Like it is one thing for it to just sit behind, but it's so much more powerful when every day you're making a purchase and you're going through their website because you're engaged with that program. And then of course, like probably one of the most important features and factors associated with loyalty programs is personalization, right? And targeted things is, hey, we know you liked this because you bought it twice already. You buy it every 6 months and it's been 5 months. You know, hey, why don't you come back and buy another one of those, and we'll give you this other thing that we think you'll also like, and start buying every 6 months as well, or give you a half price discount on it or something like that, right? There's a
Yep.
lot of value in the personalization and targeting of those offers. um, that I think are some of the key elements of a great loyalty program. Jay, is there anything that we didn't talk about there that makes for good loyalty programs?
No, I think you covered it all there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you got it. Good stuff.
yeah, right. Now there are drawbacks or mistakes you can make, right? And so today we're gonna also like mention these three biggest mistakes that you can make, and also highlight for you how you can avoid them, right? So we've talked about like loyalty programs can increase average order value, and the way that it does that, right, is by incentivizing people to buy something extra, to add something to their cart. um, and that makes that average order value go up, which is really helpful for a wide host of reasons. That obviously helps to boost retention, because people keep coming back, right? They have a reason to come back. They're engaged to come back, and for that same reason, drive long-term sales. But that's only true if the loyalty program is effective. But a lot of times the stores will set up, lousy ones or ones that don't do some of those things that we talked about. And so the first mistake that you can make is we're making your rewards too complicated. And so what that means is, right, like people don't understand how to earn the points. People don't understand what their points are worth. People don't know what they can actually do, because it's you get rewards and you get them in these tiers, but you actually only get them if you buy waffle fries and also a cookie at the same time. Like you have to buy both those things, and it's only those things that count towards your royalty program. And so that just gets really confusing, right?
And only on Wednesday between 11:30 and 11:40.
That's right. Right. So these complications, these restrictions, they are things that make the program like less appealing. And the reason why is pretty clear, because you're like disincentivizing engagement. You're losing some of that value of it being fun and important for people. And so instead of feeling like a benefit, now it feels like work. And that's an important distinction in how to avoid these, right? The first way to do that, to avoid this, is to just keep it simple. Earn a point for every dollar. Earn 100 points, get an extra $5 off, right? All these different things. Make it simple. Make earning rewards easy, so you can offer multiple ways. We've talked about purchases. We've talked about referrals. We haven't talked about like extra social media likes or shares. Like if you put this out on Facebook, we'll discount you for this month's subscription price, right? We also didn't talk about adding reviews. Like this can be really, really powerful from a lot of different perspectives, right? If you incentivize people to make reviews for you, then you increase that review profile, and which also helps with your social proof, which we've talked about in prior episodes about how important that can be. And so making earning rewards easy through whatever way you do it, or even some combination of ways to do it, can really help with engagement, right? So this is the thing that we're talking about here. And then an important thing that I think often gets left out, and Jay, I think this is really funny as a thing here, is your pizza tracker. The pizza tracker was so powerful of a tool, like how close you are to your next reward, right? Like people want to understand, like, wait, okay, I only have to put $10 extra in my cart and I get $5 free. This is amazing. Like that means this next $10 purchase is really only costing me $5. And so that progress visibility can be really important in making the reward program a success. What do you think about those things, Jay?
Oh, it's all so valuable. And the same thing with the tiers. Have those pizza trackers so you know how close you are to those next tiers, so that you will spend extra to get to that level, so you will earn more points. Or, in some other cases, it's like over this period of time, if you spend X dollars, we will give you X number of points. So, over the next 10 days, you're going to be watching what you're spending, or maybe next 2 months, whatever time frame happens.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? Sure.
So, you can track it, and it just, again, gamify it. It adds another aspect to it that keeps you interested.
Yeah. Right. A second mistake that companies can make in these loyalty programs, and I think this one is also like a very, very important one to not make, is that you fail to connect the program to average order value or sales goals. And so that means that the loyalty program acts more just like an extra feature rather than a growth tool. So you're not incentivizing people to get more. You're not incentivizing more sales. You're just incentivizing people to have this extra feature. There isn't a clear strategy to increase average order value, or you lack some of those personalizations. So a lot of the things that we talked about kind of go hand in hand there, right? If you come back to buy this thing, we add this product for you, like that is a average order value increaser over time specifically, and that is a personalized reward. The easiest way to avoid this type of issue is, Jay, you talked about it already, is you set some tiers, right? So incentivize higher spending. You want people to get to those other levels so that they have interest in getting there. You can also offer exclusive perks for bigger purchases, things like free shipping, or maybe VIP discounts, or early access to the next product that you're developing, or all of that kind of stuff. And then this isn't directly associated, but it is very, to average order value increases, but it is very much going to help with this, right? And that's to use time sensitive bonuses. So you can't just let that reward sit out there forever. You have to buy 3 sandwiches in a month to get your 4th sandwich for free. Like, this is an important thing. And then of course, if you have multipliers or something like that that drive urgency, like that can be really really valuable as well, especially if you put some limitations on the timeline that you get to see that, right? So tie your rewards to specific goals, and then offer extra points or extra, rewards, by making that average order value increase. Any thoughts on increasing average order value as a mistake that you don't make?
No, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about some other factors at play in a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit.
Yeah,
But just
sure.
to bring it up, I mean, these loyalty programs are in programs that are built into Shopify or your e-commerce platform. And
Right.
odds are they're going to directly connect to your email platform, let's say a Klaviyo,
Yeah.
so to speak, and be able to send out specialized messages to the users.
Yeah.
Say, hey, it looks like you've spent $300 with us this month. If you get that last purchase in the next 3 days, you'll get to XYZ and earn. And you put a sense of urgency on it. It's going to help you achieve those goals. So take advantage of every part of the tool that you can,
Right.
to drive your numbers and drive your results.
Well, and the last mistake that people make is not revisiting. So that's like setting and forgetting your program, right? You're like, I'm going to set it up, and then you just leave it there. So the program launches but isn't actively promoted. Like, that's one problem. Customers forget they even signed up because you're not connecting it to reminders. You're not highlighting the values. You're not doing all of the things that you just talked about, or internally, you're not tracking performance metrics. So you don't even know how the program is doing. Those can be, I mean, obviously, I don't think we need to talk too much about like why those are problems. Those are pretty clear issues. And so how to avoid those things is regularly promote it through email, through SMS, through social media, through all the different platforms and ways that you can. So again, like Jay mentioned, put that in your email flow. Make sure that you have reminder emails going out of, hey, congratulations on joining the program. Here's where you are today, and here's what's coming next for you, or whatever it might be in that regard. You also can automate the reminders. I think that's exactly what I was just talking about. And then finally, you want to make sure that you're tracking those metrics, right? You want to understand what kind of impact you are having on average order value, what kind of impact you are having on repeat purchases. And then, of course, if you're like offering these rewards or incentives, and it's like, buy this thing, get that thing for half price, or get the waffle fries for free if you buy 2 sandwiches instead of just 1. Like those types of, if you don't know what the redemption rates are on those programs, then you're missing some of the power that goes along with that. So you want to make sure you're adjusting accordingly if people aren't redeeming, or if people aren't executing those redemptions. Maybe it wasn't as cool of a thing as you thought.
And I think the important thing to note there is, if you're not tracking it, you're not measuring it. So track it all if you can.
All of it. Mm-hmm. And so as we talked about, a loyalty program should drive repeat purchases, should increase average order value, and it should keep customers engaged, not just sit in the background. So keep it simple, align it with revenue goals, and actively manage it to like help push that forward. So we've talked about increasing average order value, and maybe we should have done this in a different order now. Now that I'm looking at this here, right? But loyalty programs increase average order value by spend more, earn more incentives, right? Tiered rewards, free shipping thresholds, all of these different things, right? We already have kind of touched on a lot of that. And the easiest way to track that, I think, is by understanding how average order value is calculated. And Jay, if you're on Shopify, like this is done right there on your main dashboard. Like you can see your average order value, and so you don't necessarily need to do that. But but it's a pretty simple formula, right? It's just your total revenue divided by your number of orders. And so you can find those analytics in lots of places. Shopify Analytics obviously has it. Google Analytics can as well. If you want deeper insights, you can go into Xero or some other accounting tool to break down some of that. And then some of the loyalty programs that we'll mention later, like they have their own built-in dashboards and reporting that can help you to follow this as well. As you retain customers and keep them coming back, like that's how loyalty programs help boost your long-term lifetime value for these customers, right? Which helps with overall sales volume. So it's an important thing to consider as well. And those personalized targeted discounts help with that too, right? So that's why these programs can be so effective in pushing your brand forward. And so Jay, as we talk a little bit more about this, I know that you had done some research around the best loyalty platforms out there. Do you want to talk some more about that?
Yeah. So there were 5 of the highest rated loyalty programs on Shopify, and they range from best for small to mid-sized stores up to those that are best for enterprise stores. Now, looking at them, there's no doubt that those for the enterprise stores have less ease of use, and they are the most costly. So, and that one in that area is Loyalty Lion. So that it's got a 3-star ease of use, yet almost a 5-star rating. So, it's delivering the value for those stores. Now, it's about $200 a month, or it starts at $200 a month. And, thinking about that at that perspective, it is going to give you the value you need for an enterprise level store. Then we have some other stores that are at a lower programs for lower level stores, like Smile.io or BON Loyalty or GrowWave, and also Joy Loyalty. So these are more for smaller stores. They come in anywhere from $15 to $50 a month, and these are all 4 or 5 stars as far as ease of use. They're all really easy to set up and easy to implement. Most of them, like we said earlier, integrate with your email platform like Klaviyo or Gorgeous or one of the other platforms like that. So you're able to integrate the data or create your emails within these platforms to send out through your email platforms, and then personalize them, because that's ultimately what you want to do. So most of them do have set up for VIP tiers so that you could do that on your shop and make it a lot easier for you. So the other thing is they all have referral programs like we talked about earlier. So it's important you refer new users to the program. You get rewards for that. So it's important to take those into account. And yes, I know you're waiting to ask that question. Do they have free plans? Yes, they all have freemium plans, because there's no better way to get started. Take that. Pretty much everything on Shopify has a free 14-day trial, so you can jump into it, try it, make sure it's working. And ultimately, I suggest you do that regardless, because there have been times where you implement a app on the Shopify marketplace into your shop, and then it doesn't actually work right with your situation. If you're using Flow to automate certain aspects or something like that, you want to make sure it's going to operate at the exact way you want it to, and not interfere in some of your processes or how your workflow is on your shop. So definitely take that free trial and use it. And all of them are customizable. So that way you can make it yours and make it your plan and be able to have what you need. So that's just a little bit about them. We are working on a blog post, and we will post more about these platforms and more detail about this. So if you're interested, we will go ahead and make a comment on the post when we have that up and running. Hopefully it'll be up by the end of next week. So,
well, that'll be great. Jay, one question that I have around this
Yeah.
is outside of using the platforms and making those trials, are there some other things that you can do to choose the right one of these platforms for your e-commerce store? Is it just looking through the features, or what do you think?
Well, number one, you got to try it out. You got to test it. You know, one thing that I did when I had an e-commerce shop, I had a spare store that was set up exactly the same, so I could test multiple platforms on it or multiple
Mm,
add-ons or apps on it. Uh,
yeah,
you got to test it, make sure it fits your your flow, and
right.
read the reviews. It's important to know what other people think about it and how they felt it worked. You will find out about their customer support that way. You'll find out about a lot of factors, and that sometimes that might be the only way to get some of the negatives about them. So that's the best way to do it. And it's like anything else, you got to try it. And yeah, I find like in the accounting world, if we're utilizing an app that we're trialing, we can request an additional 30 days, 90 days, something like that while we're doing it. In the
Yeah,
e-commerce world, you're going to be stuck with that 14 days. So even if you pay for a month or two, check them out and just use them all and see how they work and see what works
yeah,
best for you. That's the best I can offer.
right. No, I think that's great advice, though. And so, Jay, if we're going to sit here and recap what we've talked about today, right? I think the summary is simple, right? Loyalty programs help to increase long-term lifetime value for on your customer
Mm-hmm.
side, right? Because you're going to bring customers back. Loyalty programs can help you to increase average order value, and it's important that you design them in a way that allows you to do that. Of course, if that's what you're intending, which um, it probably should be. And then loyalty programs also help to keep customers engaged, which is really critical. And it allows you to stay right in front of them and to see them more regularly. And so, because of those things, a loyalty program can be really valuable for you. So we've talked about some of these different platforms that you can use. So one of the best things to do if you're considering a loyalty program is to first like think about what you actually want to do with the program. Have some conversations around what you want to incentivize and how you want to incentivize it. And then once you've done that, then step through, try one of them. Try one of them and see if it executes what you want it to do and allows you to be able to do that. Um, and then if it doesn't, try another. There are several options out there, and you want to make sure that you choose the one that works best for you and your store. Um, Jay, do you have anything to add?
I just want to add a couple little tidbits of information. Now, these loyalty programs are not e-commerce, but this is the impact of long-term loyalty programs.
Yeah.
Tesco, which happens to be a UK-based grocery store, has their
Yeah.
club card now having their 30th anniversary this year.
Okay.
82% of their sales are from their loyalty members. 20
Wow.
million loyalty members account for 82% of their sales. That's a
Wow.
significant amount of revenue. And
Yeah. No kidding.
another one that I don't know if you use, but I use it on occasion is the old Starbucks app.
Mm.
60% of all revenue comes from their rewards members. So,
Wow. That's
you
wild.
know, you get birthday reward, double point weekends, all those things, and you know, build all that into your
Yeah.
program and take advantage of it. And
Yeah.
there is a cost to it, but by increasing your average order value, you are going to more than pay for it because
Yeah.
people are going to come to your store quicker and sooner than they anticipated, and they are going to spend more and leave with more products, which in turn turns cash over faster, which helps you in the long run. So, yeah,
That's right.
that's what it's all about. And you know, all I can say is, if it makes you more money, jump in there.
That is a fantastic way to end. So I'm not even going to say anything more. So Jay, like I don't already know. Let me pretend like I don't know. Hey Jay, what kind of weekend plans you got going on here?
Well, we got truck racing from Daytona tonight. We got
Woo,
Xfinity racing from Daytona tomorrow night, and we have the Daytona 500 on
woo,
Sunday. We're gonna throw in
let's
a trip
go.
to the golf range tomorrow afternoon, and
Look at
get
you.
a little swing action going. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, man,
That's a good quality NASCAR weekend.
for sure.
What should we be looking out for? Is there any like drama leading into the 500 this year? Any like
Uh,
obvious favorites? If you're in
well,
the gambling states, are there like people you should be like this guy's definitely winning?
the favorites are there is going to be a big wreck with at least 20 cars.
Okay, yeah,
Who
that
is leading at lap 50 or 100 will not win the race because odds are they're going to get
okay.
taken out. And
Yeesh.
yeah, like we talked about coming in, Helio Castroneves is taking a provisional to start the race,
Mm,
and
yeah.
he gets no pay and no points. He's just doing it for the fun of it, and it's going to be fun to
Wow.
watch him
Okay.
out there. And
Yeah.
yeah, Indianapolis 500 champion 4 times over, first Daytona 500. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm pretty excited to definitely look back on that one. I'll have to see if I can watch it live. I might be able to take a gander in the afternoon on Sunday. We'll see. Um, how they race there now? Are they just two lines with a third on occasion, or are they?
Yeah, pretty
Uh,
much.
yeah. Okay.
And
All right.
we're going to have the same racing next weekend because they're going to Atlanta, which was reconfigured a couple years ago, which is now a super speedway
Uh,
as well. So there's a lot of
oh, is that
drafting,
right?
and yeah, so uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but they'll be heading. I don't know where. I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know where they go after that, but
Yeah, it's okay.
usually
That's all right.
it's a little different from there. So we have those
Yeah.
6 super speedway races, and then the rest it's free for all after that. So looking forward to it.
All
A
right.
great
Well,
48-week season.
any favorite? Who's the favorite this year? Who did we talk about? Who won last year? I don't even. I already am so
Uh,
embarrassed. I don't know.
William Byron won last year. He beat my
Yeah,
driver Alex Bowman by
what?
about that much.
Oh,
Remember last year at the beginning of the year we had all those 1/1000th different
oh,
finishes.
that's right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm hoping for something like that. I
with
just don't
Alex
want
on the
to.
other side.
Yeah, right, exactly. Or Blaney on the other side as well. I just don't want to see anybody hurt,
Sure.
and let's have a safe
Yeah.
race. And
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. Sounds right. Sounds exciting. Um, anything we should be looking out for next week? Um, where are we gonna have the reciprocal tariffs back off? Probably so. But
uh,
I.
at this point, I don't think we're going to see those back off. I think they're going to be here
No,
to
I don't
stay
think
for
so
a
either.
while. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
As far
No, I think
as
that too.
impacts on e-commerce and the government at this point, we'll see what happens with the IRS, and we're still looking for updated tax coming forward. Uh, the
Yep.
plan now is to go back in and codify the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, make it permanent. We shall see what happens there. At this point, with what's going on, all we can do is wait and see.
That's right. And you know where to find us. It is
Yes.
right here on the e-commerce hour on Fridays at 4 Eastern. So come back and see us next week. We'll talk about whatever does develop, as well as a main topic of choice next week. So we'll be right here again. Next week, same time, same channel. Come see us. Thanks for
Have a
sticking
great
around
weekend,
with us today,
everybody.
and have a great weekend.
And happy Valentine's
Bye.
Day.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Happy
How do you
Valentine's
forget
Day,
that?
everybody. Ooh, I have no idea.
See you,
I
everybody.
did. Bye. Bye.